Brennan, Scott Riggleman's going to join me on the call at the end of this one. 7 laps to go, double file restart. Penske Racing well represented on the front row with Ryan Blaney, who has been the dominant car all day. But New Jersey's own Martin Truex Jr., who was so close to winning this race 1 year ago, will start on the outside. Scott, half a lap away to go till green. Who do you like?
Ryan Blaney's been looking great this whole race. I really think he has a shot at it. We got Martin Truex Jr. up there. It's going to be a great finish. It all comes down to these last 7 laps. I mean, all offseason, these guys been working on the car. This is what they've been waiting for the whole time. So let's see what happens here.
Kurt Busch going to line up in third, trying to win the Daytona 500 back-to-back, trying to be the first driver to do so since Sterling Marlin did in the early 90s. Denny Hamlin, the outside pole sitter, is going to restart in fourth. And Alex Bowman, Daytona 500 pole sitter, lining up in fifth. And if you're looking for an underdog, Matt DiBenedetto for the FAS Racing Team in the number 32 car, going to restart on the outside of row number 3. 7-lap shootout to decide the 60th running of the Daytona 500. Ryan Blaney and New Jersey's Martin Truex Jr. bring them back to the restart.
It looks like Ryan Blaney gets the jump on this restart.
A couple of Fords on the bottom lane trying to push themselves forward with the Toyota of Denny Hamlin helping, while Truex falls back to third, maybe further back, as it is Blaney and Busch on the low side getting the break out front. Ryan Newman on the top side of the track, further back, trying to work his way forward to pull up to the backside of Alex Bowman, who is leading the outside lane, while Truex has no help. It is Blaney to the lead. Now Denny Hamlin jumps up to the outside.
We got Kurt Busch looking down low. He's looking to go to the front now.
Hamlin,
they're 3 wide for the lead.
Hamlin 3 wide up top, while last year's winner, Kurt Busch, will move to the point. Almirola pushing through on the bottom side.
Now Ryan Blaney's stuck in the middle. Let's see what he can do if he can bring the middle lane back up through.
Big run up top, and on the outside, it is going to be Denny Hamlin leading at the stripe, with Kurt Busch defending on the low side.
This ain't over yet. This is going to get a little crazy here with 6 to go.
5 to go, and they come back to the stripe. Kurt Busch now with Ryan Blaney tucked back in on the bottom side, trying to pull the low side through with a pair of Fords. In fact, 3 Fords on the bottom. Eric Almirola trying to push through on the inside.
Kurt Busch has got a good lead, but it looks like he's getting a little too far ahead. They might be able to get a run on him. Here goes Ryan Blaney to the outside of him now.
Lots of pushing and shoving going on mid-pack as Ryan Blaney charges to the outside for the race lead. They will be coming around to 5 laps to go.
Here comes Denny Hamlin working the outside. He's going to team up with Ryan Blaney here and push him to the front.
Hamlin on the bottom, Almirola now. In fact, Hamlin's chucked up behind Ryan Blaney to the outside with 5 to go. Here comes that push to the outside lane. Busch covers the spot. Blaney with nowhere to go in turn 1.
Oh, a little sideways for Ryan Blaney, but he's able to save it.
Blaney sideways. Eric Almirola, 1 Daytona win to his credit, already on the inside, battling for the lead.
Eric Almirola with a new team with the Stewart-Haas Racing. Oh, they're wrecking behind. Nope, they all save it.
Brendan Gaughan just bounced off the side of the competitor outside, double wide amongst the Stewart-Haas Racing Ford teammates, with Kurt Busch now forging ahead in the outside lane.
Kurt Busch is looking real strong here in the Stewart-Haas car late in the race, but if he gets out too far ahead, they will go right by him.
The contact between Gaughan and the car on the outside kind of split up the pack as Busch leads him to the stripe. 4 to go. A lot of members in the race pool cheering on not only Ryan Blaney but Kurt Busch as well, as Truex has fallen outside of the top 10 for now.
Kurt Busch way out in front there, but I think he's getting too far ahead. Now Ryan Blaney's going to make a run on him, but to the outside.
Busch will drop to the bottom, defend the low side, but Blaney pulls high. Ryan Blaney for Team Penske to the lead with 3.5 laps to go.
Yeah, but I think this bottom line's going to get a good run going too here in a second here.
Blaney's had a fast car all weekend long. First chance for him to run Team Penske colors in 2018. But last year's winner, Kurt Busch, will not be denied. Side by side for the lead. Here comes Hamlin trying to help Blaney up top.
Kurt Busch needs some help from behind. Let's see if his teammate can catch up to him. 3 to go now.
Underdog story of the race so far. Matt DiBenedetto up to third in the 32 car.
Brendan Gaughan's up there running 5th. Let's see what he's got to do, what he can do with the underfunded team.
Denny Hamlin, the 2016 winner. Ryan Blaney, whose only cup win came at Pocono last season.
Loose. He got him loose.
Nearly brushed the wall off turn 2. Hamlin dives low for Toyota.
This is still anybody's race. They're coming to the line for 2 to go.
Pair of Fords up top, Ryan Blaney and Matt DiBenedetto, but DiBenedetto falls back. Denny Hamlin out front. Kurt Busch back up to second place. Almirola on the bottom side. Blaney's now starting to fall back up top. 2 to go as they come to the stripe.
I mean, right now, Kurt Busch has his teammate right behind him, so I think they're strong here.
Big block by Hamlin. Almost pushed Busch up into the wall. Down to the first corner. Almirola's back into the mix. Trouble. Kurt Busch around.
This is the big one. This is the big one. Let's see who's left after this wreck.
Matt DiBenedetto, Alex Bowman, Kurt Busch, Ryan Blaney got some damage, and more cars are involved in a huge crash while racing for the lead.
Tore up real bad.
Well, Scott, we saw Denny Hamlin try to throw the block. Kurt Busch also went up the racetrack. Hamlin survives, but it is Busch who spins in the first corner, and that will set up the first chance at overtime in the Daytona 500. And what a heartbreaker for Matt DiBenedetto, underdog driver in the top 5, now ends wrecked in the first turn.
We had a great race going, but you know, when it gets down to the end, the pushing and shoving starts, and this is what happens. You know, we get the big wrecks.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr., one of the favorites coming into the race. Remember, he
Brennan
came back
gone
from an overheating penalty. And as you said, Scott, another underdog. Brennan gone for an underfunded team. And the 500 pole sitter, Alex Bowman, in the top 10 in the latter stages, also swept up in his major accident on 2 to go in Daytona 500.
So, Eric, we will be green, white checker when we come back now?
NASCAR's overtime rule was a 2-lap shootout. And that is what we were about to see. Unlimited attempts at an overtime finish. As we look at the replay here with Busch getting a push up top, Hamlin trying to cover, and Ryan Blaney may have pushed a bit too far on that left side.
Yeah, but Ryan Blaney also had the 32 pushing him from behind.
Martin Truex Jr. almost found a way through, may have gotten into the side of Ty Dillon as he tried to avoid the crash. Alex Bowman and Brendan Gaughan getting caught up in it as well. And this will certainly shuffle the running order. In fact, Michael McDowell in the front row racing number 34, he's going to be running up in the top 5 when all said and done.
You know, nobody's been mentioning Paul Menard, but he's also up there in a very fast Penske Ford. Well, Wood Brothers, actually.
Menard representing the Wood Brothers team, a team that has gone to victory lane in this race last time in 2011 with Trevor Bayne. And there it is again, a little bit of a too much of a push on a left side bumper that sent Kurt Busch, last year's winner, around. Also getting through the mess is Chris Buescher, who will be up in the top 5 as well. Boy, Scott, even though you run a factory stock at Wall Stadium Speedway, maybe not comparable to the 200-mile-per-hour speeds. However, the handling of these cars is similar, including the fact of when they get turned sideways. And, boy, when you get pushed that far around, there's not much you can do to save it.
No, you're just along for a ride at that point, especially at a track like this. I mean, he's got the whole field plowing into him. There's not much he can do. But if you look at the replay there, you can see Jeffrey Earnhardt skating through. I mean, Josh had him picked last week. He was picking Jeffrey Earnhardt for the win. He might get a shot here. This is what we talked about, Josh. We said he gets through the wrecks. He's got as good a shot as anybody.
While the teams will have their hands full with the cleanup, we will wait to re-rack the running order as we are on board with New Jersey's Martin Truex Jr., defending Cup Series champion, trying to work his way through the crash. And on the outside is Ty Dillon, who gets squeezed up into the fence. And it also looked like that might have been Jeffrey Earnhardt that caught a little bit of damage as well.
A little on the left rear corner, but I think he'll be okay. They should just pit and pull the quarter panel out, make sure he doesn't have anything rubbing on his tire.
So Denny Hamlin avoids the carnage, and now it looks as though Eric Almirola, who is with a new team, used to drive for Richard Petty, the all-time winningest driver in NASCAR Cup Series competition with 200 wins to his credit, now a car owner. But however, Almirola made the switch in the offseason to go to Stewart-Haas Racing. And if you remember, he had a terrible injury after a crash at Kansas, actually broke his back, which allowed him to sit out about 6 races in 2017. And in his first race with his new team, will be restarting on the outside of the front row in the Daytona 500 with a chance to win.
Yeah, you also got to remember, too, that Stewart-Haas won this race last year with Kurt Busch driving. This year, Eric Almirola is driving for Stewart-Haas, so they might get win 2 years in a row with 2 different drivers.
The crash certainly filtering out a number of competitors, many drivers hard on the brakes to try to avoid, including the 38 of David Reagan, who almost came to a complete stop at the back of the pack, while his teammate Michael McDowell is going to be in the top 5. Remember, Front Row Racing has won before on a super speedway when Reagan carried the banner for that team to win at Talladega in 2013.
You know, Front Row Motorsports really shines on the restrictor plate tracks. They really put a great effort towards their restrictor plate program, and it shows every time we go to Daytona and Talladega.
Whenever we come to the restrictor plate tracks for the NASCAR Cup Series team, survival is usually the name of the game, and you can see why after the major crash in the first corner with 2 laps to go. And as Scott mentioned, that will set up overtime for the Daytona 500. If you're not familiar with racing in NASCAR, overtime can lead to many different types of things. If there is a restart, if they do not get to the white flag, we could see overtime time after time after time, almost similar to what you see in college football, Scott. But once the white flag comes out, the next flag will end the race.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see the lineup here and see what we look like if we have any teammates hooked up with each other. Looks like Brennan Gaughan's not happy with somebody.
Gaughan running in an underfunded team. Remember, he and his family, South Point Casino owners, looking to scale back to only run a couple of super speedway races for an underfunded team. Had a shot at the top 10, maybe more. Now his race ends on the rollback, while Alex Bowman, the pole sitter, also suffered some damage on the left front. So, Scott, I'm with you. Kind of waiting to see what this running order looks like. We know Hamlin is the race leader, and it looks as though it will be Eric Almirola in second. The Fords have looked so strong all weekend long, but we say that, although Hamlin was the second fastest in qualifying last week, and he won this race 2 years ago. Legitimate shot for the Toyota driver?
Sure, why not? I mean, I definitely think he has a shot at winning this race. It looked like Martin Truex was having some trouble there on pit road. I'm not sure what was smoking underneath the hood, but they seem like they have a serious problem there.
So the biggest race in stock car racing is going to come down to a 2-lap shootout. While the Fox crew takes a look back at some of the moments that took place throughout the race, including numerous wrecks which took out front-running contenders such as Daniel Suarez, Jimmy Johnson, Eric Jones. William Byron was in a couple of wrecks this afternoon. And then later on, of course, many who was penciled in as the favorite, Chase Elliott and Brad Keselowski, tangling as well, with Elliott ending up head-on in the wall, collecting female racer Danica Patrick, and a number of others as well, which has kind of shaped the picture for the finish we're about to see. With Hamlin and Almirola, they will be leading the field back down once cleanup is complete. Looks as though one of the underdogs may in fact be Chris Buescher, Scott. Now, Buescher got a win at Pocono last season, or 2 years ago, I should say, in a rain-shortened race. After leading the Front Row Motorsports charge at the timing of the caution, the race never got restarted, and that was all it took for Chris to end up to go to victory lane. I'm sure it would mean a little bit more for him to get one on track, especially in the Daytona 500.
Yeah, I mean, Chris has been running great this whole race. Let's see what he can do here with the few laps that are still remaining.
Buescher, the second car in the JTG Doherty Racing entry, teammate to A.J. Allmendinger, former open wheel standout, now Sprint Cup Series winner after capturing a win at Watkins Glen back in 2014. But cleanup will continue on. It looks as that will, in fact, be our top 3. The outside pole sitter Hamlin, Almirola will be second, and it will be Chris Buescher in third. And then perhaps the biggest underdog story that we can imagine, and Michael McDowell in the 34 car, never won a Monster Energy Cup Series race. It's going to restart in the top 4 as well. Now, Scott, we've seen many drivers grab their first win in the Daytona 500. The last one to do so was Trevor Bayne back in 2011. Before that was 10 years ago. In fact, 20 years ago to the day with Michael Waltrip in the 2001 Daytona 500. Would you liken that to maybe winning your first ever race at Turkey Derby? Is that the equivalent we could draw with a short track parallel?
Yeah, I mean, Turkey Derby is a big race. Daytona 500 is a big race. I mean, any win's big and special, but to win the Daytona 500 for somebody like Michael McDowell, it could possibly change his life, you know. I mean, you could really set him up for the rest of his life, you know, in terms of money and getting rides for other with other teams.
Where's the gun? Is he his first or no?
No, it's Hamlin, Almirola, and then Buescher, top 3.
Yeah, but I definitely don't think this race is going to come down to these last 2 laps. I mean, we can easily have another wreck and more cautions yet. So, I mean, time's going to tell here. It's still anybody's race. I really think Denny Hamlin has a good shot at it. You know, he's going to be out front. His car looks very, very strong. Eric Almirola's car looks very, very strong. Eric's also from Florida. His family always took him to the Daytona 500 when he was a kid. So, you know, that'd be great to see him win it also. I think he's from Tampa.
My friend Sean came down from Staten Island, New York. He asked me, Eric, what makes this race different than any other race? 36 races in a Monster Energy Cup Series season. And I'll tell you one thing that sticks out right off the bat. When you win the Daytona 500, you're not just called a winner, you're called the Daytona 500 champion. This race has a naming right of its own. And Scott, NASCAR starts their way off different than what we see in the NFL or the MLB or even the NHL. Their biggest race of the year kicks off their racing season. And there's a lot of reasons as far as why. And preparation may have a lot to do with that as well.
I definitely think that everybody comes here with brand new teams, brand new cars. Everything's brand new and shiny and ready to go, and everything's fresh. So that's why it's one of the biggest races. Plus, it's one of the best paying races of the year, this one and the Brickyard. So, I mean, the money's very important here. The prestige is here. It's 60 years going strong. I mean, whoever wins the 500 usually goes onto a show like David Letterman's type show the next day. So it's a big win. It's a lot of people that are a casual fan of racing might not watch the other 35 races during the year, but they'll watch the Daytona 500, very much like how the Indy 500 is for Indy.
And looks as though NASCAR has, in fact, re-racked the top 10. Looks like Denny Hamlin will be leading the field back down to the restart with Almirola second. Chris Buescher in third. Austin Dillon, Richard Childress racing driver with one win to his credit. That was the Coke 600 last season. He will be restarting in fourth. And Paul Menard, after making the switch to the Root brothers, as Scott mentioned earlier, having a strong run all afternoon, will restart in fourth. Then it's Darrell Wallace Jr. in the Petty 43. Joey Logano will line up in seventh. A.J. Allmendinger eighth. Ryan Blaney got shuffled out of line, avoiding multiple contacts in the big crash for ninth. And I wouldn't say that you can count any of those drivers out, even with just 2 laps to go, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, how cool would it be to see Austin Dillon with the number 3 car and see the number 3 car back in victory lane at Daytona? That would be pretty neat. I mean, he's got a good shot as any. I think Ryan Newman, his teammate's only a few cars back. Maybe they can team up and do something.
It's been a rather quiet confidence for Austin Dillon all weekend long. It seems like he's really happy with his race car. It shows here now that the field has been narrowed down. He's going to have a shot at the win as we are 3/4 of a lap away from going back racing in the Daytona 500.
And for some reason, I'm not counting Paul Menard out at all. I mean, the Wood brothers know how to win at Daytona, and Paul's doing a great job here. Let's see what he can get done here.
The Fords have worked well all week long. However, the lone Ford running up in the top 4 is Eric Almirola, and he's got no help. In fact, it'll be a Chevrolet of Austin Dillon pushing him to the outside. And Scott, the push on the restart has been one of the biggest factors to watch all week long in any series at Daytona, and we expect this to be no different. Who do you like here? We got on the bottom side Hamlin and Buescher, outside Almirola and Dillon.
I know we're talking teammates and manufactured teammates, but with 2 to go in the Daytona 500, whoever can help you and who's ever in front of you, that's your teammate for these last 2 laps. It's just going to be who can ever help you to win. Everybody's going to get real selfish here real quick.
Team orders essentially going out the window. Another storyline that we followed throughout the dual races. How about friendships in that of Ryan Blaney and Bubba Wallace? They were running 1 and 2 down to the checkers. Wallace got kicked back to 3rd in the latter portion. They're currently running just about in the 6th and 8th spot. Maybe we'll see them start to work their way forward together. But with 2 to go, anything is possible. Field in 3 and 4, getting set to come to the green. First attempt at an overtime finish in the 60th running of the Great American Race. Field has been dwindled down significantly, but there are still a handful of contenders left to go. Pace car peels its way on a pit road. Hamlin on the bottom side. Eric Almirola up top. 2 laps to settle it. In Daytona 500, we're back to racing with Hamlin and Almirola bringing them back to the restart.
It looks like a real even restart here. It looks like Eric Almirola is actually starting to inch out in front of Denny Hamlin just a little bit, but Denny Hamlin's charging back on the inside.
So far, that second row has been unable to pull up to the backside of the front row, and they're side by side for the lead in 1. Almirola with a bumper's edge. Hamlin fights back. Here comes that outside lane, starting to accordion back together off 2.
It looks like the outside lane has the run going down the back straightaway here with Austin Dillon pushing Eric Almirola down the back straightaway.
Big block by Buescher on the low side. Pushes Menard through and out front to the lead. Eric Almirola, Florida native, driving for Stewart Haas Racing up to the point, while Dillon pulls alongside of Hamlin off of turn number 4 with the white flag waiting.
Eric Almirola's just got to be careful he doesn't get too far out ahead where these guys can line up and go right past him. Let's see what he does here.
Last lap in the Daytona 500. Next flag ends the race. Almirola out front. Austin Dillon with some help up top, moving to second place in turn 1.
Here comes Austin Dillon in that black number 3 charging to the outside. Let's see if he can get up front and get past Eric Almirola here on the last lap.
Darrell Wallace Jr. left to try and help Austin Dillon, while Almirola is going to try to defend both lines. Here comes Dillon. Big run to the outside. Almirola blocks. Down low goes Dillon. Almirola still out in front as they come to 3. Trouble!
Oh, hard wreck.
Almirola into the wall hard. No caution yet. Race is still green.
Here comes the 3-car to victory here.
Off the final corner. Austin Dillon, 20 years removed from Dale Earnhardt's big win at Daytona, will bring the 3-car back to victory lane in the 500.
Oh, they're wrecking behind him, too, at the line.
Crash after the checkered flag. Look as though that may have been Denny Hamlin and Darrell Wallace Jr. who were racing for second, but it's Austin Dillon after last lap contact with Eric Almirola, who will be your Daytona 500 champion for 2018.
Now we really need to see the replay of what happened with Eric Almirola and Austin Dillon in the 3-car and see what caused the wreck. From what I could see, it looked like Eric Almirola was doing some heavy blocking, and it looks like the 3 wasn't putting up with it.
Unofficially, Austin Dillon, your winner. Darrell Wallace Jr. wraps up a fantastic week. For the Richard Petty Motorsports, number 43 to line up second. Denny Hamlin third. Joey Logano unofficially fourth. And Chris Buescher rounded out your top 5.
Yeah, it looks like Paul Menard came home in 6th. Ryan Blaney was 7th. Ryan Newman was 8th. Michael McDowell 9th. A great top 10 for that team. And A.J. Allmendinger rounded out to the top 10.
And what a heartbreaker for that of Ryan Blaney, who almost ended up winning that event in the latter stages. Got swept up in the late race crash. Blaney ended up in 7th. But I'll tell you, Scott, it's been 20 years since we've seen this. 1998, the 3-car went to victory lane at Daytona. It was Dale Earnhardt at the wheel then. This time it's Austin Dillon. Even though it's not Big E behind the wheel, this got to bring back some good memories for many.
It's also great seeing the new Chevy Camaro going into victory lane. They showed up with a beautiful new race car this year with the Camaro, and it's worked out for them. They won one of the dual races with Chase Elliott. Now they're winning the 500 with Austin Dillon.
So Florida native Eric Almirola finds his Daytona 500 coming to an end 1/2 lap short after getting hooked into the wall while trying to defend the lead. And the driver's been involved in racing. The grandson of longtime car owner Richard Childress, Austin Dillon, is your Daytona 500 winner for 2018. Well, Scott, I don't know about you. First time I got to do play-by-play with you. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's always fun doing play-by-play, especially with an exciting race like Daytona 500. I mean, if you're going to do a play-by-play for a race, this is the race to do it.
Well, with that, we are going to watch the celebration continue for the Richard Childress Racing team of Austin Dillon. And Scott, I'd say it's safe to say we can close things out, start packing up as we continue to enjoy the rest of the evening at the River Rock Restaurant and Marina Bar. I had fun with you. How about you?
Hey, sorry about your back.
Hey, thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, it looks like everybody's starting to head out, but what a great party. Thank you, Jeff Lane. Thank you, Eric Lane. Thank you, River Rock. This has been a great party. Hope this is something we can do every year. It's great getting with your race friends in the middle of the winter here before our racing season starts and just having a good time and watching a great race. And this was a great race.
Don't forget, you can watch Scott as well as many of the other factory stock competitors and all the competitors at Wall Stadium Speedway as our season is scheduled to kick off at the beginning of April. For more information, visit wallspeedwayracing.com. And there's also 2 local dirt tracks in the area, New Egypt Speedway and Bridgeport Speedway. You can check those out as well. On behalf of Josh Matthews, our producer, Nick Renda, who was here earlier, Sam Ballard Jr., who couldn't make it here, also Scott Riggleman, I'm Eric Brennan. I want to wish you all a fantastic and safe ride home, and we'll see you all next time on the RPM Podcast. Thanks for coming to River Rock, and we appreciate all the love and support. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.